I'm awake. I'm awake.
What's up, guys? My name is Griffin, and I'm just some dude that plays video games. And today, I'm talking World of Warcraft. So, you want to play a druid, huh? First, let me commend you for your decision. You are clearly a very wise person. However, if you want some quick tips on where to start, stick around and I'll give you the lowdown on leveling, farming, and group content for any spec. I'm not claiming to be an expert, this is more of a How to Druid 101. So if you have any great tips, leave them in the comments. Now, let's get into it. For some players, leveling in World of Warcraft will be the majority or even the entirety of their experience with the game, so it's important that the journey is an enjoyable one. That doesn't necessarily mean the fastest class to 60, or the most brain-dead easy class to play, but a playstyle that speaks to you and keeps you invested in your character. Druids offer a variety of different specs to choose from, allowing them for a very flexible playstyle. Melee DPS, ranged caster DPS, tank, or healer, whatever you feel like playing, the Druid has you covered. This flexibility allows you to handle a large majority of world quests and mobs by yourself, but also lets you fill multiple roles in a group setting. Most players will level as Feral, and for good reason. Feral Druids are fast and efficient levelers whether playing solo or with a group. They are built for the front lines with the ability to deal quick bursty damage while in cat form, or mitigate incoming damage while still doing a fair bit of DPS as a bear. You're not getting your first form until level 10, so let's get past levels 1 through 9. At level 10, your class trainer will send you to an Elder Druid in Darnassus if you're playing Alliance, or Thunder Bluff on the Horde side, and he will teach you Teleport Moonglade, sending you there to continue your training. Once in Moonglade, the Druids of the Cenarian Circle will task you with attuning yourself both in body and mind with a Great Bear Spirit. If you pass their tests, you'll be granted Bear Form. Once you have Bear Form, you'll be significantly more defensive, and you'll still do a decent amount of damage at the cost of rage instead of precious mana. Along with learning Bear Form, you'll be able to train Maul, which increases the damage of your next auto attack and outputs a high amount of threat, similar to the Warrior's Heroic Strike. You'll also learn Demoralizing Roar, which decreases nearby enemies' attack power. It can be useful when fighting multiple mobs or enemies that hit especially hard, such as elites or in dungeons. With your newfound chunkiness, you can pretty easily handle most quests on your own, and you can even tank dungeons along the way. You'll basically just be auto-attacking with the occasional maul, and maybe Demoralizing Roar if you're feeling frisky. So it isn't the most enthralling gameplay, but it will safely and efficiently level you up. Early on, you'll learn Enrage, which generates 20 rage over 10 seconds, and is great to either build up some rage before engaging, or preserving pooled rage in between pulls. You'll want to avoid using Enrage while actively fighting though, as it reduces your base armor by 27% in Bear Form and 16% in Dire Bear Form. Bash is trained at level 14. This ability will stun the enemy for 2 seconds at rank 1, and a massive 4 seconds by rank 3, all for the low cost of 10 rage. This ability is great if you need to interrupt an enemy spellcast or stun the enemy long enough to heal yourself in order to make a getaway. At level 16, you will learn Swipe, which hits 3 nearby targets for a flat amount of damage costing 20 rage, down to 15 rage with the Ferocity talent. Swipe can be great for snap threat on pulls with multiple targets, but it costs quite a bit of rage if you're trying to spam it. This ability is especially awesome for DPS output on big pulls in dungeons, so long as you pull rage on the pull prior. However, it doesn't output a lot of threat, so make sure to establish a threat lead on all targets before spamming Swipe. After spending 10 points in the Feral talent tree, you unlock Feral Charge. Costing 5 rage, this ability causes you to charge at the target, rooting them in place and interrupting spells being cast for 4 seconds. This ability is amazing both solo and when tanking dungeons. You can use it to engage the pole, chase down an enemy that slips away, or interrupt a caster from healing. It has a lot of great uses and is worth the single talent point investment. Frenzied Regeneration, first learned at level 36, is great if you're fighting an especially tough enemy and need to stall for time while regenerating mana, or keeping yourself alive long enough to take down the enemy before further healing is needed. Of course, you can also use it in dungeons against especially hard-hitting packs or bosses, so long as you establish a nice threat lead first. These are all great skills and will be useful when questing in bear form or tanking dungeons, but when it comes to leveling, it's all about cat form. At level 20, you'll get cat form, this time by simply purchasing the spell from a druid trainer, and this is where your leveling really starts to take off. Cat Druid plays like the Rogues class, in that their abilities cost energy to use and either build or spend combo points. They can also stealth or prowl, allowing you to sneak behind enemies. At first you will only have access to Claw, which is an instant attack that causes a flat amount of damage and awards 1 combo point, as well as Rip, which is your first combo point spender, dealing a flat amount of bleed damage over 12 seconds based on how many combo points were spent. It isn't amazing, but it's all you have at first. At level 22, you'll learn Shred, and this ability will be your bread and butter in dungeons. This insane ability deals 225% of your damage, plus an additional flat amount of bonus damage, and also rewards a combo point. Recently, Blizzard patched out front shredding from the anniversary servers, making it less viable in a solo setting. Apparently druids were having too much fun. Dash is learned at level 26, and will increase your movement speed by 50% for 15 seconds. This ability is useful in a variety of situations, such as if you need to make a quick getaway, to quickly close the gap to your next kill target, or for long distance travel before you get your mount. On a 5-minute cooldown, use this ability liberally unless you're in a dangerous area and need to reserve it for emergencies. You'll finally get a decent combo point spender at level 32 with Ferocious Bite, dealing instant damage based on the number of combo points spent and increased by your attack power, as well as converting any additional energy you have into damage at a ratio of 1:1. Basically, this dumps all of your combo points and energy for a massive burst of damage. They do learn 2 openers as well, that is, abilities that can only be used in stealth and break you out of stealth when you use them. You will learn Ravage at level 32, causing 350% of your damage plus a flat amount of bonus damage in addition to awarding 1 combo point. At level 36, you'll learn Pounce, which stuns the target for 2 seconds, deals a small amount of bleed damage over 18 seconds, and also awards 1 combo point. More often than not, I find Ravage to be the better of the 2 options. Many mobs can be immune to the stun and or bleed component of Pounce, but no mob is immune to raw damage, although you could use Pounce to interrupt a spell cast early in the pull in a dungeon setting. You can ignore Tiger's Fury as well as Rake. They tend not to be worth the energy they cost to use, and you're better off spamming your high impact abilities. In cat form, you'll notice a sizable increase to your kill speed compared to bear, but you will also require more healing between pulls. The neat thing is, your mana will regenerate while in cat or bear form, so you will almost always have resources to heal yourself between pulls, eliminating the need to drink and minimizing your downtime. If you're looking for speed and efficiency while leveling, Pharaoh Specialization is definitely it. As a kid, I always thought the Moonkin looked super cool, and because it's a less optimal spec, you would seldom see one, and that made them even more mysterious and cool to me. Unfortunately, leveling as a balanced druid isn't quite as cool as it looks from the outside. That's not to say it's a complete slog. There are definitely classes and specs that are slower than leveling a balanced druid, but they do an acceptable job, and the spells have great animations and sound effects and are very satisfying to use. You start your journey with Wrath, the spell you'll be using a lot in the early game, so learn to love it. With a low mana cost and short casting time, which is made even shorter with talents, Wrath is a great spell to spam early to mid-game. Moonfire, an iconic druid spell, is also learned early. An instant cast spell with a fairly high mana cost compared to Wrath, Moonfire will deal instant damage to the target and additional damage every 3 seconds for 9 seconds at rank 1 and 12 seconds at higher ranks. It isn't the most mana efficient spell, but weaving in Moonfire will help you bring down targets faster. At level 20, you'll learn your first rank of Starfire, a slow cast, hard hitting spell, which depending on the rank available, will be more efficient than spamming Wrath. Its massive 3.5 second cast time can be reduced to 3 seconds with the improved Starfire talent, which also offers a 15% chance to stun the target for 3 seconds. Combined with the Vengeance talent, which effectively doubles your critical strike damage of Starfire, Moonfire, and Wrath, Starfire crits will hit super hard, and it feels really good seeing those big numbers on your screen. Unlocking Moonkin form at level 40 will grant you and your party members a 3% increased chance to crit with spells while in form, allowing for even more massive Starfire crits. After picking up the important talents in the balance tree, you can work your way into the restoration tree for meditation to help you maintain mana for casting, as well as insect swarm for an additional dot to weave in. Mana issues is the main downfall of this spec. With a lower mana pool than other casters and fairly expensive spells to use, you'll find yourself running out of mana quite often, increasing your downtime between pulls and limiting your DPS potential in a dungeon setting. You can partially mitigate this problem with talents such as Moonglow and Meditation, which I mentioned before. And due to the Druid's naturally high health pool and increased armor in Moonkin form, you can largely ignore stamina on your gear, opting instead for Intellect and Spirit for more mana regeneration. Overall, Moonkin is really fun to play, with big bursty crits and the ability to take hits pretty well. If that appeals to you, Balanced Druid is definitely a vibe. Leveling as a healer spec for any class is never suggested, but always an option for those who want to participate in more group content. Whether you're duo leveling with a friend, or if you plan on running a lot of dungeons for experience, leveling as a Restoration Druid will make you a very competent healer in any situation. Since you will want gear with Intellect and Spirit, most of your soloing will look similar to a Balanced Druid, but without all of the fancy talents to improve your DPS output. In group content, you'll be a great support and solid healer all around. Early in the Restoration talent tree, you'll have talents such as Improved Mark of the Wild for better buffing, and Improved Healing Touch for faster heal casting. As you work your way down, you'll unlock Meditation and Tranquil Spirit for mana efficiency, as well as Improved Rejuvenation for stronger healing over time. Deeper in the Resto tree, you'll get some amazing oh shit buttons like Nature Swiftness, which makes your next nature spell an instant cast. Use this for a strong instant healing touch in an emergency. You'll also get Swift Mend, which consumes a rejuvenation or regrowth hot on the target for an instant heal. It isn't exactly mana efficient since you'll be clipping your hot short, and you'll have to recast the hot on the target. Plus, Swift Mend itself has a mana cost, but it is nice to have the second cooldown. For even more mana efficiency, you can opt out of Swift Mend to instead put points into the balance tree until you unlock both Nature's Grace and Moonglow. These talents will allow you to quickly and efficiently spam Healing Touch, negating a lot of the mana issues Druids would have otherwise. Healing over time spells are an important part of the Druid class fantasy, but unfortunately they are not cost effective. Regrowth is best used in an emergency situation, or if you're able to precast it on the tank, then sit down to drink before the pull. Rejuvenation is versatile in that you can use it on the tank for extra cushioning, or cast it on a DPS that has taken some damage so you can quickly get back to healing the tank. At a high mana cost, these spells are best used sparingly and only when necessary. Instead, you will mostly be using different ranks of Healing Touch. Ranks 2 and 3 of Healing Touch are very spammable at low mana cost and 1.5 and 2 second cast times respectively with talents. Rank 2 will quickly fall off in viability as you level up, but Rank 3 will last you a surprisingly long time. Rank 4 of Healing Touch is your bread and butter. This will be your most spammable rank of the spell, and even works wonderfully in a raid setting with enough healing power. Ranks 5 and up will be reserved for pulls where your tank is taking heavy damage, but these ranks will quickly run you out of mana. The most efficient way to play a Resto Druid is to identify how much of your tank's overall health pool your different ranks of Healing Touch will restore, and alternate between ranks accordingly. That said, healing over time spells are super fun, and Druids use them better than any other healer, so if you don't care about playing optimally, throw them hots around. For the hardcore players out there, in my opinion, Druids are probably the easiest class to level from 1 to 60. Their ability to self-heal, mitigate damage with bear form, pump DPS in cat form, or DPS from afar with balance spells, Druids are super safe levelers. I've already discussed how fast and efficient they are in Feral spec, and that remains true for hardcore Druids. They also have a variety of utility spells to help in different situations. Entangling Roots is an underrated spell with a short cast time, low mana cost, and 12 to 27 second duration. It can be helpful in a variety of scenarios, such as if you're pulling a large group, you can isolate one of the mobs with roots to lighten your load. If you need to make a quick getaway, you can root a mob in place and run out in travel form or cat dash. Or if you want to sneak past something or want to snipe a resource node. It can also help you kill basically any mob in the overworld as long as they aren't immune to the spell. With enough patience, Moonfire and Entangling Roots can whittle down a target over time, allowing you to stay at a safe distance and regenerate mana. Just keep in mind Entangling Roots can only be used outdoors. You will also have your own form of polymorph with the spell Hibernate. It will only work on beasts and dragonkin, but it's a short cast and lasts a generous 20 to 30 seconds. And unlike polymorph, it will not heal the target to full. Hibernate can also be used as a form of spell interrupt on the rare occasion you're fighting dragonkin that cast spells. Soothe Animal allows you to avoid fights with beasts altogether if you need to just get by. This spell reduces the range at which beasts will aggro to you, and it lasts just long enough to slip past without getting noticed. If you're leveling up a hardcore character for the first time, I would strongly suggest trying a Druid. If you're brand new to the game, each of the Druid's different playstyles will give you a glimpse into other classes in the game, and might help you decide what kind of WoW player you are. As you can see, the Druid class offers a variety of ways to play while leveling, and can do a little bit of everything. So, farming stuff. I'll admit, farming is not one of Druid's many strengths. What is farming? Farming is collecting items, gold, and materials in the open world, or in an instanced zone, either by killing mobs or gathering resources such as herbs, ores, and treasure chests. Farming is a necessary part of the late game experience in World of Warcraft. Whether you're gathering materials to craft your own equipment or brew your own potions and elixirs, or if you're collecting raw gold and sellables to pay someone else for those services. Every player will have to engage with farming in some form if they want to continue progressing their characters. Unfortunately, Druids are pretty average due to the limited number of viable farm locations. As far as gathering goes, Druids are top tier, and that's their saving grace here. With their ability to stealth past mobs to make their way to nodes, root mobs in place while gathering, put beasts to sleep, or soothe animal to prevent them from aggroing, the Druid has a lot of tricks for easily gathering herbs and ores, especially when it comes to TBC and beyond when they gain flight form. Even in Classic though, I would say the only class that can match or beat a Druid's ability to gather easily would be a Hunter. They're especially great at gathering herbs, as they're able to pick flowers in any of their forms, including travel form, minimizing your downtime between picks. In fact, if you only have a 60% mount, and you're traveling for any less than 23 seconds, it's actually faster to go into travel form, avoiding the 3-second cast of mounting. There are several open world zones and dungeons that a Druid of any spec can easily farm resource nodes, and that will be your primary source of income as a Druid. They are even pretty good at fishing, since they can mostly avoid danger with the use of aquatic form and their CC abilities. With their ability to stealth past mobs to make their way to nodes, root mobs in place while gathering, put beasts to sleep, or soothe animal to prevent them from aggroing, the Druid has a lot of tricks for easily gathering herbs and ores, especially when it comes to TBC and beyond when they gain flight form. Now let's get to the bad news. As far as mob grinding for item drops or raw gold and materials, Druid is going to rank pretty low. They don't have the worst single target kill speed out there, but they're far from the best, and their AoE farming capabilities leave much to be desired. At a 1-minute cooldown and high mana cost, Hurricane is the Druid's only AoE spell, and on its own, it will not have the damage to output much. Your best bet is to pre-dot mobs with Moonfire and or Insect Swarm, cast Regrowth and Rejuvenation on yourself, use Barkskin, and then cast Hurricane. Even after all that, it won't feel like you're outputting a lot of DPS, and it will be completely spent after each pull. In summation, the Druid's high-tier ability to gather resource nodes, balanced by its low-tier ability to kill mobs quickly, leaves it roughly average as far as farming capabilities. At the end of the day, it'll get the job done. Some of my personal favorite late game farming spots include herb picking in Fellwood, Winterspring, or Plaguelands. Stealth runs through Dire Maul East, picking herbs, killing satyrs for demonic runes, and checking for dusty tomes. And farming stone guardians in Ungoro Crater. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found my video helpful, even if only a little bit. But what do I know? I'm just some dude that plays video games. This is my first edited and stylized video, so if you enjoy it, please leave a like and a comment for the YouTube gods. If you really enjoy it, consider subscribing to my channel for more content similar to this coming soon, as well as Druid playthroughs and other stuff available now. Hope to see you again soon, and until then, stay safe out there.